Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about the craft of writing, which is the way we are going to approach writing in third grade this year at Vermillion Elementary School. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about it. This project is brought to you by the staff at Vermillion Elementary School for grade 3, and here we are right here. Everybody's here except for Mrs. Casper, who wasn't here when we took the picture. And I'll be presenting this information to you today. I am Mrs. Green, the intervention specialist for third grade, and I'm the one right here holding Mr. Olson's head because he wasn't in the picture either. So here we go. First question, and I'll give you a minute to answer it. It says, raise your hand if you know how to talk. Go ahead, raise your hand if you know how to talk. Hopefully, if everybody's honest, everybody in the class raised their hand because every single one of you knows how to talk, and you have for a long time. That's the good news, because if you know how to talk, you know how to write. So talking is writing, with a little bit of extra stuff that is the craft of writing. And the craft of writing is what we're going to be working on here today, and here's how we'll do it. There are two kinds of brains, actually a lot more than two kinds of brains, but you have a certain type of brain and you may or may not know which type you have. You probably don't know yet. If you have a language brain, you're probably a person who loves to talk. You probably talk a lot. If you have a language brain, you are probably going to be really good at the mechanics of writing, spelling, capitals, punctuation, and those kinds of things, but you might have trouble knowing when to stop, and knowing where to stop your sentences, and knowing how to increase your sentences. So if you have a language brain, your challenge this year is going to be to learn how to reel in the language and make it more meaningful. If you don't have a language brain, you have some other kind of brain, like maybe you have a math brain, or maybe you have a science brain, or maybe you have a construction brain. You're a person who builds and likes to build. Maybe you have a kinesthetic brain. You're a mover. You're a person who needs to move to learn. If you have one of those kinds of brains, you'll have other challenges for writing. Maybe you're a person who has a real tough time thinking of what to write. Or maybe you are a person who has this kind of brain, a science brain, but you really are not a good speller. So maybe spelling is going to be your challenge, or maybe punctuation will be your challenge. Everybody in this room has some kind of a challenge that we will show you craft or ways that you can become more effective as a writer. So what is the craft of writing? Here's a famous opener to a story. Once upon a time, the end. What's missing here? What's missing is the story itself. What's missing is the actual craft. This is a famous opener and a famous closer that writers use all the time. Authors use this opener and this closer a lot. What goes in between, that's the craft. And the way the author makes the words come alive, that's the craft. That's what we're going to show you how to do this year. So, what are the steps in crafting writing? And I bet you've seen this before. First step is something I'm going to imagine you already know how to do. First step in crafting good writing is the plan. Making a plan. I'll bet you a lot of you kids have used a wheel to plan your writing, or some kind of a planning tool that looks something like this. Maybe your teacher had a plan that looked like a hamburger. I've seen that one before, where there is a opener in the middle and the bun has other information, and you put everything together and it comes together, and that's your plan. That's the planning part, and we will teach you lots of ways to plan, but I bet you already know some ways to plan. First step, plan your writing. Second step when you're crafting good writing is to draft. And of course, this is kind of the meat and potatoes. This is where you're writing what it is that you're going to write. So you're using your plan to put together a draft. Third step when you're crafting good writing is, of course, to revise your draft. Every writer, every author, even the most famous authors are good at revising their writing, and usually a famous author asks someone else to revise the writing too so that they can get a second set of eyes on it. When you're finished revising, you're probably going to be writing a final draft of whatever it is that you wrote so that you can fix your mistakes and change things and make corrections. And then you may have a chance to share your writing. When you're finished, you're probably going to evaluate your writing. And this is where you'll get some kind of a grade so that you can see how you did. This is where you're going to be looking at the things, thinking back about your brain type and what things you're good at and what things are challenging for you. This is where you're going to determine how you're doing and how you're becoming a stronger writer. The evaluation part. And that's it. Those are the steps to writing that we're going to be using this year. You're going to be doing lots and lots and lots of reading, because one of the best ways to craft good writing is to look at how famous people craft writing and look at how people use tools and ideas to put together things. Then you're going to have a chance to practice. You're also going to have a writing notebook where you'll be writing, hopefully during Daily 5, a lot, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, maybe more. And in that writing notebook, you'll get notes back from your teacher, maybe from me, maybe from Mrs. Hogue or Mrs. Casper. We will not be working so much on craft there as just ideas, but you will certainly have a chance to practice there. So, can't wait. This is my favorite thing to teach, and we'll see you soon.